Hello and welcome, it's Jack here from Ginger Bets and welcome to this week's preview where I'm looking at the third major of the season. It's the US Open, the toughest test of all. It's the country club in Brookline that will host 156 of the world's best players. And in this video, exclusive to sportspub.com, I'm going to be breaking down the course, bringing you the key skill sets required to lift that trophy come Sunday evening, and then bringing you my best outright selections. And I've got 5 of those, so stay tuned because in the next 6 or 7 minutes, all of that is coming your way. First off, let's have a look at the course this week. It's the country club in Brookline, the famous course that hosted the Ryder Cup some years back. It is going to be an absolute brute of a test for the players this week. I'll go out on a limb early and say that I predict that the winning score will be over par this week. A typical US Open. They love it tough, the USGA, and I think that this week is going to be one of the toughest of all. From the tee box, it's a really tough course with very narrow landing areas for the players and very penile rough if they're to miss it right or left. And then as the players approach the greens, that is where the real challenge starts. Some of the smallest greens on the whole of the PGA Tour major circuit, if not the smallest, for the players to attack this week. It's going to make for some real difficult approach play. And then gnarly rough in and around those greens, it's going to mean that the short game's required to a huge amount. We've got Poana putting surfaces in the main, 75% Poana, 25% bent grass, and that will prove a challenge to many of the players as well. So let's have a look at those key skill sets that are going to be required this week. Well, to win a US Open, in my view, you need to arrive in form and with every club in the bag doing its thing. So to start off, the foundation of my research will be tee to green performance over the last 36 rounds, and that's something that I've looked into in depth. I want players coming in here in good and consistent form. I'm then going to look at strokes gained off the tee. It is a myth that you have to be super accurate at the US Open. The last 5 or 6 winners have all been super long off the tee. If we think at Brooks twice, Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, these are not short hitters. None of them the most accurate off the tee. So I want to look at general strokes gained off the tee data. Then want to look at approach play. It is the single biggest factor each and every week on the PGA Tour, and on this tough and demanding layout with super small greens to aim at, approach play is going to be key this week. And then as those players have played those approach shots, it's going to get super tough around the greens. Some of the smallest greens to hit on the whole of the PGA Tour circuit, and certainly the smallest of any of the major courses that the players will face in 2022. And that means one thing, that 25 to 30% of the time, players are going to be missing that green and going to have to get up and down to save par. So I want to look at 2 areas. I want to look at scrambling and strokes gained around the green to wrap up the key skill sets that I believe are going to be required to lift that trophy come Sunday night. So just to recap, it's tee to green performance, it's strokes gained off the tee, it's then approach play and strokes gained around the green and scrambling. They're my 5 key factors for the player that lifts the trophy this week. I believe he'll be successful across the board in all of those key skill sets. Now for the bit you all tune in for, it is those headline selections, those best outright picks. Well, those of you that are tuned in earlier in the week will know that my headline selection is a man from Ireland that is a major champion that's done it under the toughest of circumstances in his home country with a home crowd behind him. He's a player that moves the ball both ways off the tee comfortably. He's an elite level iron play, and it's his short game that is going to come to prominence this week in my view. He's got one of the best short games on the PGA Tour, and at 33 to 1 with BetMGM, Shane Lowry will headline the portfolio for the week as the #1 selection. I'm going to go back up to the top of the board now for my second selection of the week, and this is another major champion who arrives here in great form. He was second last week at the Canadian Open, third, where he was pipped by in-form Rory McIlroy. But this is what excites me about this player. He drove the ball supremely, and it's often a weakness in his game, but he's driving it really well of late. He hit the most greens in regulation last week. He was #1 in approach play over the course of the week. And if he can continue that form into this week, where he has control of his driver and his irons do what they've done for the past 2, 3 or 4 years on tour, then I believe combining those skill sets with an unbelievable underrated short game at 4 14 to 1. Second selection of the week will be Justin Thomas. BetMGM's the place to go and get it. Second selection of the week. JT, the man to be on. Third selection of the week is another major champion, and he's a player that has also, like Shane Lowry, lifted the Open Championship in the UK. I think that this course will play very much like a linksy course. Plenty of blind shots on offer this week, and this guy's proven that he can do it on both sides of the Atlantic, but he's also proven that he can do it on the toughest of tests. He will relish the challenge this week. His tee to green game is absolutely on point right now. He's another natural drawer of the ball off the tee, which I think suits this week, and he has, like Lowry, like JT, an elite level short game. I'll keep you waiting no longer at 25 to 1. Jordan Spieth will be the third selection of the week. Fourth selection of the week, I'm going over to Korea now, and this is a player that I believe can break his major duck this week. He's a top driver of the ball, gaining strokes off the tee in 11 of his last 12 events worldwide. He's an elite level iron player, an underrated short game. I think he's got the patience and discipline to win a US Open, and at 40 to 1 with BetMGM, Sonny Im will be the fourth selection of the week. And last but not least, this is a player that I believe's got an outstanding chance. He's a real accurate driver of the ball. He hits plenty of fairways. He should have won the Honda, a really tough track earlier in the year where he led going into the final day. He fell apart a bit on the Sunday, but I'm willing to forgive him that. He then suffered with some injuries, but he's bounced back, and there's lots of signs in his game that he's getting back to the levels that he was in the early part of 2000. He's also a winner at Pebble Beach, and Pebble Beach has some of the smallest greens on the whole of the PGA Tour, and he won there only 12 months ago. I believe Daniel Berger at 50 to 1 with BetMGM has an outstanding chance of victory this week, and he will be the fifth and final selection. Before I leave you, may I encourage you to head over to sportspub.com, register your email address, and get access to the Ginger Bets Golf Betting Insights weekly newsletter. It's sure to save you time, sure to make you more informed, and sure to give you an edge over the bookmakers. And to recap, just before I leave you, headlining, we've got Shane Lowry. Second up, we've got JT. Third up, we've got Jordan Spieth. Fourth, we have Sungjae Im, and fifth and final selection at 50 to 1, it's Daniel Berger. Good luck with all your wagers this week. Thank you for listening, and don't forget, if you enjoyed this content, like, subscribe, and make some comments in the description box below. Bye from me.